let's just get started. Jump right into the news. We got this from CNN. Trump fires Kristi Noem as frustrations build among White House officials and GOP lawmakers. According to NBC News, following up, they make reference to her place in the administration had become increasingly unstable following the fatal shooting of 2 U.S. citizens by federal officers during immigration operations in Minneapolis earlier this year, and amid her fraying relationship with the U.S. Coast Guard and other reported infighting at Homeland Security. Her firing by the president on Thursday in an online post comes after weeks of bad press. So here's what Trump had to say. He said, I thank Kristi for her service. He said great things about her and that she will be moving to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. We're announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. And then he's calling on undefeated professional MMA fighter Markwayne Mullin to take over the DHS. And then, of course, I believe the governor of Oklahoma is going to choose to appoint a senator in the interim, which should be interesting because we'll probably get a rhino. I don't know. But I didn't think he was going to fire her. Getting Markwayne Mullin approved by the Senate, it seems increasingly difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
Unless they give us like a tepid establishment guy and the Democrats just go, I guess I'll vote for him.
The Democrats don't want to say yes to anything that Trump does. As for Kristi Noem, I was thinking that was going to happen right around all of the hubbub in Minneapolis. The messaging that was coming out around that was really bad. She could have made that whole situation something that didn't get the attention that it did. Yeah. They could have handled it far better because honestly, the activities that the police were engaging on, the ICE agents and the federal agents were engaging on the ground, they weren't particularly excessive. They were dealing with people that were doing all they could to interfere with legal law enforcement with
help from local police.
Yeah, no help from local police. All that stuff, it didn't have to escalate the way that it did. And Kristi Noem's messaging made nothing better. So personally, I was saying at the time I thought that she was going to go. And honestly, I'm a little surprised it took this long.
Well, why won't the rest of them go? Huh? What about all of them?
All of them who? Everybody.
DOJ as well.
Well, I mean, look, Dan Bongino left out of his own volition. And as for, the other people like Kash Patel and stuff like that, I don't know that Kash Patel isn't doing a good job. I know that there are people that are upset with the way that he characterized the things that he said that he saw with the Epstein stuff. But I do think that Pam Bondi is doing a less than stellar job. Her actual messaging and stuff is kind of rough. So, I mean,
more people thought she would go first.
Yeah. If Trump sent her away, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. But I think that because of the kinetic action that was going on in Minneapolis, that's why I wasn't surprised that Kristi Noem went. As for Pam Bondi, I think that he probably could do better. But again, it's tough for him to get anyone approved. So he has to think, if I get rid of this person, who am I going to get that the Senate is actually going to confirm? Because they're not helping him out at all.
It feels like people are growing, at least I'm growing increasingly more. We talked about this the other day about how increasingly difficult it is. Everything gets stonewalled. Everything gets blocked. Congress can't get anything passed. And people are growing increasingly more kind of just frustrated with the way things are going. Obviously, the left is frustrated because they don't like anything that's going on right now because it's their job to push back. And the right is angry on different levels because, people that consider themselves America First are fighting with people who are establishment Republicans because nobody can seem to get anything through. Can't get the SAVE Act passed, right? That's still out.
But it's anarcho-tyranny at every level.
It is.
On the ground, the left release criminals. People are being brutalized, and then they pass laws saying you can't own guns, you can't do anything. And then at the administrative level, when you go higher up into politics, you've got the Democrats obstructing everything and Trump admin doing relatively little. Now, don't get me wrong, nuking USAID was a massive move, and so I give Trump credit for that. But Kristi Noem is being criticized for, we're not getting the deportations people thought we were going to be getting. The DOJ is getting criticized because you're not getting the prosecutions you thought you were going to be getting. It's the same thing. The people in power are not doing anything about the criminals. So politically, we've got a narco-tyranny. On the ground, we've got a narco-tyranny. And what's really frustrating for me is that every day you get inaction and failure, people become more and more disinterested in this. And then how are you supposed to actually rally people together to solve for these political problems when people are basically giving up because they vote for someone like Trump? We're a year in and they're like, This is it. A year later, we lost Dan Bongino. He didn't get the job done. Kristi Noem wasn't getting the job done. She's gone now. People are calling for Pam Bondi to be fired. The Epstein Files thing is flubbed. And I'm not saying those are the most important things imaginable, but they matter to a lot of people. And the one thing you could always count on, Benjamin Franklin was wrong. He said the two things you can always count on, death and taxes, but there's a third. It's war in the Middle East.
Yeah, so the thing that I was thinking about, well, you used to characterize, or at least you would tell us how other people would characterize that Trump is the bull in a china shop, right? Well, if that's the point here, and we have now entered a level of discourse where everything is discombobulated, nobody has any sense of decorum, we were fine with that because we were assuming that was going to lead to some type of political change. But if what we're getting right now is a bull in a china shop that leads to war in Iran, it's like it's the same thing we were having before, just with mean words on the internet, which are funny, but it doesn't mean that anything's going to be different this time around. Everything feels the same.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see more deportations. I've outlined my opinion about the immigration situation more times than I can count. It does feel like Trump is actually paying more attention to international affairs than he is paying attention to stuff at home. And the America First people, they're not particularly interested in what's going on internationally. They don't want the war in Iran, even though most of MAGA, if you go by the polls, most of MAGA says, look, if this goes well, we're cool with it. There's something like 75% say if it's only a month, they'll be okay with it. So generally, the MAGA Republicans are like, okay, this is all right. But don't lose focus on the homeland. Like paying attention to immigration is the biggest thing. And then the stuff in the fall when it comes to the elections, like that's going to be whether or not people feel like their dollar goes as far as they arbitrarily think it should, right? Like they want to be able to go to the grocery store, pay their bills, and have some left over. And they want to feel like there has been movement on that. And if they don't, Republicans cannot win. I've said this a million times. If they do, Republicans can win. That's not a guarantee that all Republicans are going to win, but they're definitely not going to win if people feel like their dollar is stretched thin.
Well, gas went up 60 cents after Iran.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that is true. But that's something that, again, if he can keep this to a short-term issue, like a month, gas prices will go down by the time the elections or the campaigns get into full swing. And the American people have a fairly short memory when it comes to this kind of stuff. When it comes to, things that happened 6 months ago or a year ago, it might as well have been 5 years ago. They care about what's right in front of them right now. And if their wallets feel strained, they will not vote for Republicans. And again, I've said it a million times. This is not a guarantee that Republicans will win. It's just the conditions that are necessary for Republicans to be able to win. If things are going poorly in the economy, if people feel like they can't pay their bills, they always vote against the party in power. The history says that generally the party in power loses in the midterms. It's just going to be a bloodbath if they have.
Do you think this could be part of a larger strategy, moving Kristi Noem out at this time? So, for example, Trump in his first term was pretty famous for moving somebody out, moving an interim person in. So we saw Jeff Sessions go to then have Matthew Whitaker as an acting attorney general. I'm wondering, could this move with Kristi Noem be a strategic shift while all the eyes are on what's going on in Iran, so that when we come back from that and move on to the next phase of his administration, then they bring somebody in who maybe can go even more aggressively after immigration?
They're already bringing in Mullin.
Right.
Are they going to boot him out?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious because what's the timeline for which he would have to leave the Senate to be the acting Secretary of DHS to get confirmed? Then if they don't confirm him, he loses everything. So maybe he doesn't resign the Senate. I don't think he can take both positions. Yeah, I think they're going to have to cut a deal, or maybe they already cut a deal.
Yeah.
He's got to.
They probably are already going to go with support him because they all know him in the Senate.
I have a question for you.
And he's getting backed by the Teamsters head, O'Brien. What's his face? Do you guys remember that? We got to play this video. Come on, you guys.
Ian, to your point, there's a lot of people in the Senate. The Senate usually does have fairly closed ranks, and senators will support other senators for positions and stuff like that. There's a lot of people in the Senate that are very unhappy voting for Rubio. Right when Rubio got position of Secretary of State, they all voted for him. I think it was 99% or something like that. Go ahead.
Let's play this video from. Here's the guy who's taken over as head of the DHS, Senator Markwayne Mullin. Here we go.
Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior, as everybody knows, and it's here. And the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy.
How can you take
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Stop it.
Is that your solution, every problem?
Look, he goes stick his ring
sit
out.
down. Sit down. Okay. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down.
No. Bernie should be thrown out. O'Brien and Mark Wayne were being decisive and gentlemanly in their request to bout, and I gotta give respect to O'Brien as well, who was like, okay, like let's go.
There's enough
and then
room,
Mark
right?
Wayne goes to pull his ring off, like he's ready to go.
Everyone knows Bernie's a coward. He was standing on that stage, and those two women came up and they kicked him right off of his own
Yep.
stage. So Bernie Sanders is a
So I've seen a lot of people criticize Mark Wayne Mullin as, you know, first policy or whatever. But let's just get some masculinity back in the room. Can we do that? We were talking about this last night, how modern culture has become just feminized trash. And then Phil sent me this clip from Asmongold reacting to the new World of Warcraft. And we have this. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, you know, what's her name? Helen Andrews? Is that the woman? The one talking about how as institutions become feminine, you start getting all this woke stuff, and like instead of dealing with issues, everyone just hugs, and then the murderers go free. I'm just, you know, maybe our government needs some guys who are going to be like, stand up, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, otherwise
Start throwing fists.
we're in this, what is it called, the rat utopia. Like the United States, since the fall of the Soviet Union, has kind of been a rat utopia where everyone's just living off, you know, the massive tit and getting fat and has all the entertainment and food and cheap gas. And now, so people are going like dystopia. You see this feminist creep. It's not women. It's this feminist creep that's a result probably of the,
it's largely women.
you know, feminism. I think feminine energy usually comes out of women more than it comes out of men generally.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, you look at that clip that we just saw, and it does seem to suggest that this is probably what Trump's going for. He's going for somebody to get in there who is going to be tough and is willing to not shrink away from controversy, clearly, in order to be aggressive about what he wants to get done.
Pete Hegseth is such a badass. I cannot. Like, this guy is a maniac for his job. He loves, and that's like obsessive mania for his. Obviously, he loves to kill. Is that the right way to phrase it? He loves to destroy the enemy. Like, this guy is a fireball, and I'm glad he's on our team. I fully support Hegseth. It's terrifying, kind of in a way, but like this is what a war commander does. You know,
We've needed men in the room for some time.
I do love, however, that it started over a Twitter beef, though.
Yeah.
Like,
you tweeted at me.
Like, it wasn't like, hey, you bumped into me in the parking lot and you didn't apologize. It was like, you said something mean to me on the internet, which, of course, has been a hallmark of the internet for as long as it's been around, just people being like, oh, don't let me catch you outside.
But it was perfect. He's like, he said, anytime, any place. And he goes, now's the time. This is the place. And he's like, why don't you stand your butt? He's like, you stand your butt up. He's like, okay. All right.
you think they would have gone? I don't think they would have gone. I think the dude sitting down would have been like, no, okay, that's enough.
Pull me back.
Like
Pull me
begging for
back.
some of the senators to
I
stop
don't
him.
know or care, but Bernie Sanders, this pencil neck, button up shirt guy who's never had a real job in his life. Oh, you're a United States Senator. Oh, sit down. Dude, he said we can be two consenting adults and put an end to this. I don't know if DC has mutual combat rules or laws or whatever, but some states do.
See, this thing, I think Fetterman would let him do it. I think Fetterman would have given both of them a weapon. That's why I'm voting Fetterman in 28.
Fetterman would start stuttering, and you wouldn't know exactly what he was going to say. He'd be like, hey, Senator Mullin, I think you should do it. And you'd be like, okay, we're just waiting a second to see where you're going with this. Let's roll.
That's why it's going to be a great precedent.
Well, Fetterman tweeted out that he supported a confirmation of Mark Wayne Mullin.
You could have those two guys at the UFC fight that's going to be at the White House in the summer, right?
I got to be honest. Mark Wayne Mullin is a retired MMA fighter.
Yeah, he's 3-0.
He was 3. Yeah, he's 3-0. And I want to stress this. Even as an older guy, right? It was 20 years ago when he was fighting. He clearly looks like he at least stays in shape to a certain degree because it's a lifestyle where you're eating right, you're exercising. I doubt he just stopped doing it. He would flatten O'Brien.
He looks like an anaconda.
He would flatten that
He
guy.
would squeeze that dude
Look,
until
if-
shit came out. Pardon me, dude, he would.
If we've got YouTubers boxing, we need to start letting old politicians box as well.
Bernie,
Yeah.
versus Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
Fair fight.
And they just got rid of Crenshaw, so they could have had Crenshaw fights.
They would have to choose a champion. Yeah, they would have to choose champions because they're too old. Liz
All
and
right.
Bernie.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.